Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today on Parliament Hill. My name is Lindsey Thomson, and I'm the Director of Public Affairs for the Canadian Counselling and Psychotherapy Association. I'm also a registered psychotherapist. I'm here today on behalf of counselling therapists and psychotherapists, representing a vital sector of Canada's healthcare system. Today, counselling therapists and psychotherapists stand united in calling upon the federal government to respond to Canada's escalating mental health crisis. As we approach the 2025 election, we must address the barriers to accessing essential mental health care services. Canada is dealing with a mental health crisis that continues to affect millions of people nationwide. The statistics are sobering. In the face of the crisis, counseling therapy and psychotherapy are essential services that over 5 million Canadians identified as necessary for their well-being in 2018, well before the pandemic. In 2021, Statistics Canada reported that counseling therapy and psychotherapy represent the most unmet need by those seeking help. I could stand here before you for hours, rhyming off endless statistics of the crippling impact that mental illness has on our daily lives, our communities, our workplaces, and our economy. But instead, I will focus on the most critical failure of our mental health system: rising rates of suicide. Every year, more than 4,000 people in Canada die by suicide. This is the equivalent to the loss of 12 loved ones a day. For every person lost to suicide, many more experience thoughts of self-harm or ending their lives. More than 200 people in Canada attempt suicide each day. This equates to countless heartbroken and grieving family members and friends. Choosing to end one's life is often caused by a mood disorder, believing that there's no hope for a better life, and is often also a result of not being able to access timely mental health services. I'm saddened to share that just last month, I too lost a friend to suicide. In Canada, we have the privilege of accessing several different types of mental health professionals, including psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, counseling therapists, and psychotherapists. Unlike these other critical mental health practitioners, counseling therapists and psychotherapists are unjustly required to charge tax on their services. This has led to a health inequity where individuals seeking treatment may be unable to access the appropriate mental health treatment due to the unfair additional financial costs placed on these services. Counseling therapists and psychotherapists often take the financial hit for this tax to make the service more accessible for their clients and more affordable. But this expectation is not sustainable for these practitioners. This tax places a significant financial strain not only on clients in our communities, but also on the professionals who are providing life-saving care. The average adult seeking treatment for depression will require a minimum of 16 treatment sessions, and research also demonstrates that most individuals will need multiple rounds of treatment to fully integrate the knowledge and skills developed during therapy. This means that by removing the requirement to pay tax on therapy, individuals could access additional treatment sessions just by eliminating the tax. Being able to afford extra sessions can be life-changing and life-saving. The need for affordable mental health services is undeniable. Countless people in Canada face financial barriers, preventing them from receiving the care that they desperately need and deserve. By introducing this tax exemption for mental health services provided by counseling therapists and psychotherapists, we can reduce part of the financial strain placed on those seeking assistance while also increasing the number of treatment sessions they can access during this time of extreme inflation. It's important to note that while providers like psychologists and social workers are exempt from charging GST and HST on psychotherapy services, counseling therapists and psychotherapists who are specialists in their field are unfairly excluded from this tax exemption. This inconsistency in tax treatment creates an unjust and unnecessary hurdle for those seeking help and practitioners themselves. If the federal government were to adopt Bill C-323 by MP Dr. Stephen Ellis, this would cost $17 million in the 2024 budget, based on a financial report created by the Office of the Parliamentary Budget Officer in 2022. The CCPA would like to acknowledge and thank the Liberal government for taking action on the mental health file with the creation of the 988 phone line. This is a helpful first step towards closing the gaps in this mental health care system. We must maintain momentum by adopting innovative and widespread solutions to the fragmented system. Removing tax on services provided by counseling therapists and psychotherapists is a simple and cost-effective way for the federal government to show Canadians they're listening. The Canadian Counselling and Psychotherapy Association has advocated for this change since 2015. In September of 2022, the CCPA launched a national campaign with Private Members Bill C-218 by MP Lindsey Thomson and a public petition that received over 14,000 signatures by January 2023. Let me say that again, over 14,000 Canadians are in support of the removal of this tax and have spoken up to see this change happen. In response to the petition, the federal government denied the removal of this tax, claiming that counseling therapists and psychotherapists do not share the same scope of practice, despite receiving information from the CCPA outlining the parallels between these two titles of this profession. Many branches of government already acknowledge the two as being the same, including the Treasury Board through the Public Service Healthcare Plan, Veterans Affairs Canada, the National Occupation Classification, the Canadian Free Trade Agreement, and the Canadian Institute for Health Information. These titles are synonymous, representing the same practices. The language differs based on healthcare cultures and practitioner title decisions made province by province. The current federal Private Members Bill C-323 aims to abolish the GST and HST tax requirements on the services provided by counseling therapists and psychotherapists. This bill will have its third reading in the upcoming fall session of Parliament. With a federal election on the horizon, the timing for this final reading could not be more crucial. We urge the government to act now by passing this bill before an election is called. We stand at a pivotal moment. With the recent cabinet shuffle and a statement from Prime Minister Trudeau stating that the House will remain until 2025, we have relaunched taxfreetherapy.ca with a countdown timer signaling the urgency to remove GST and HST from counseling therapist and psychotherapist services before the upcoming 2025 federal election. It's time to take action. We call upon the government to demonstrate its commitment to the mental health of all those in Canada by removing GST and HST requirements on counseling therapy and psychotherapy services. We urge all those in Canada to stand with us in support of removing this requirement. Join us by visiting taxfreetherapy.ca to send a letter of support to your Member of Parliament and to check out the timer. Today, we're not simply highlighting a problem, but truly advocating for a solution. The mental health crisis demands our immediate attention, and this time before the upcoming election provides an opportune moment for change. Thank you. I'll now take questions.
Question? We got nobody on Zoom, so let's conclude the first conference. Thank you.
Thank you.